At the heart of the Huberson Project is a discovery. The Huberson Project is a new executive design house which guides leaders toward a new way of seeing and a new way forward for genuine stewardship of self, company, and the world.
CEOs, business people might say, sorry, but you got your head in the clouds on that one. I really can appreciate it. And I like what you're doing or where you're headed, but got your head in the clouds. And what we're saying is, no, really. Reframe it, change the premise, understand there's way more than you're currently seeing. And that's really what we're pointing to. We have the opportunity to change our minds about what we accept as reality and not, about how we're going to work and how we're not going to work. And that opportunity is right now.
Somebody would say one of the reasons they might say you have your head in the clouds is that the reality is I've got this 100-hour-a-week job, and I don't have time to think of 10 other possibilities. And so my team tells me these are the options.
Yeah.
That's I want to say it's a mindset, and it is, but it's a mindset you've allowed yourself to be corralled into.
Yeah.
That I don't have the time. It might be, I don't have the board, I don't have the team, I don't have the mind, there might be a conversation about what's the practice, what's the mindset that allows the practice, because we're saying two of the mindsets are personal effectiveness and setting the direction.
Mm-hmm.
So if you're saying you've got your head in the clouds, I don't have time for this.
Yeah.
It's not practical, da-da-da-da.
Right.
Then there's a conversation to have about your personal effectiveness.
Could you say then, Daniel, that setting the direction and your own personal effectiveness are like the cornerstones or the foundation of the mindsets for a CEO as you begin to move through dilemmas?
Yeah.
That if you're not oriented from a future, a vision, a future that wants to happen, and continually up-leveling your skills and sensibilities that become your own personal effectiveness, without doing those things or having those in place, it's difficult to align the organization, to mobilize the team, to engage the board, because you don't have a very clear or powerful place to do that from without the foundation of the mindset's responsibilities of setting the direction and managing your own personal effectiveness.
Well, it kind of means that the personal effectiveness would be best to come before you're trying to set the direction.
Yeah.
Because if nothing good much ever happens setting a direction from fear. So if you feel overwhelmed and you're afraid everything's about to collapse, and you're afraid of what the board is going to say, and if you're afraid of this, and if you're afraid of that, and you're worried about this, and you're concerned about that, it would be challenging to have the kind of breadth of vision and vision of possibilities, because all of that's very constricting, and it gives you a very small view of possibility for the world. And you are going to most likely be reduced and constricted down into short-term benefit versus long-term growth. Because what's the board going to say? What are the shareholders going to say? Got to make that quarterly this, and I'm worried about this, and I'm worried about that, and I'm concerned about this, and I'm afraid of that. And the whole economy looks like it's going to go to hell in a handbasket. And now you're going to set the vision, and AI is going to take over the world. And we got to get some kind of AI, because we're already behind the curve on AI, and everyone's doing it better, faster, deeper, wider. And we're behind here, and we're behind there, and we're behind here, and we're behind there. And, the sky is falling. And now you can set the vision. So having a practice that gives you enough space to breathe, that has you feeling a certain degree of confidence and connection to the future that wants to happen, that you can actually see some possibility.
Yeah.
If you don't have enough space to do that, setting the vision for your company, good luck with that.
Yeah, exactly.
Very little good ever comes from that kind of a mindset because you tend to get what you're focusing on.
You do. Yeah, you do.
If you create a constricted vision, you'll create a constricted outcome, mostly.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I would say yes, that maybe the most important one is personal effectiveness.
Yeah.
And it's kind of a weird thing to say, effectiveness, because that could sound like it's about productivity again.
Yeah.
It's about more than the bottom line for sure.
That
Or
is.
it's about multiple bottom lines, lifelines, instead of bottom lines, lifelines.
Yeah. It seems like a context of, look, without this, you're not going to be able to raise your perspective. You're not going to be able to gain the skill because you just don't have a place that you are committed to, or the intention. If the intention is everything, and you don't really aren't clear about, wow, if I'm the CEO, I'm setting the direction and I'm managing my personal effectiveness, and that's going to lay the foundation for me to do the other things I need to do. Without that as an ongoing practice, to your point, I think this then sets that foundation, that without these, you don't have a way to sort the dilemmas. You will conform, just to our earlier conversation, you will conform to somebody else's expertise or opinion, or to the board or to your team. There's any number of ways that you'll go without those first two mindsets.
Without that foundation, dilemmas are dilemmas.
Yeah.
And when you have that foundation, then you're curious, fascinated, and you're almost magnetized by dilemmas. Like, let me go to work on that. That's fascinating. That's asking for a bigger game. I think about the BBC version of Sherlock. How does he decide whether to take a case? If the case doesn't have enough apparent dilemmas, he doesn't take the case. He wants the case to be a bigger game, or he doesn't take the case. If you have that foundation of personal effectiveness, and from that personal effectiveness are in the place to frame a bigger game vision, then what other people call dilemmas, you go, yeah, that sounds great. Bring it on. Let's step into that. So the definition of effectiveness is that relationship to life.
Yeah.
Do you have the all lit up and fully alive life in which you're engaged and curious and about the business of making the world better, or are you just trying to survive?
You've been listening to the Hugh Person Project, where leading with the future is the difference that makes the difference. Thank you to Lindsay Sterling for the music. If you'd like to stay tuned to further episodes, please subscribe to this podcast. See you in the next episode.